In the world of Avatar, some benders take their abilities one step further by unlocking rare and deadly subskills that push the limits of what bending can do. For example, did you know that Avatar Yangchen was the first and only sound bender? Or that Avatar Kyoshi used a bending technique even deadlier than blood bending? Today we're diving into every special and unique bending ability, including some rare ones that 99% of Avatar fans have never even heard of. So let's start with the most disturbing and fearsome one, blood bending. Blood bending is the highest level of water bending that only advanced waterbenders can master. It allows the bender to control the muscles of their target and literally manipulate them like a puppet by bending the blood and fluids within them. It's by far the most terrifying and broken bending ability out of all bending techniques, which is why it was eventually outlawed after the formation of Republic City. Blood bending was first discovered by a waterbender named Hama, who used it to escape a Fire Nation prison during a full moon. Due to the immense power and precision required, it can usually only be performed during a full moon when a waterbender's abilities are at their strongest. Later in the Legend of Korra, we saw a few extremely talented waterbenders like Amin, Yakon, and Tarlok who could use blood bending at will without the aid of the full moon. Amin and Yakon took this art to the next level as they were able to use it without using their arms, also known as psychic blood bending. Yakon's blood bending ability was so broken that he was able to use it on dozens of people at the same time and make them unconscious. In fact, if it weren't for the Avatar state, Aang would have lost to him during their encounter. Later, Yakon's son Noatak, aka Amin, pushed bloodbending even further and developed the ability to remove a person's bending entirely. Even Katara, who's regarded as one of the most skilled healers in the world, was powerless to reverse this overpowered technique. The only known way to restore bending stripped by Amon is through energy bending, which only the Avatar and Lion Turtles can master. The next subskill of waterbending is healing, which, as the name suggests, allows the bender to heal physical wounds, either on themselves or on others. By using water as a catalyst, the healer can redirect energy paths throughout the body, focusing more energy into an injured area and allowing it to heal faster. The effectiveness of healing doesn't just depend on the skill of the healer, but also on the quality of the water being used. For example, when Katara used spirit water from the spirit oasis in the North Pole, she was able to heal Aang after he was fatally wounded by Azula's lightning. Though healing is effective in many situations, it has its limits. It can't cure internal wounds, scars, birth defects, or restore bending abilities that were taken away through blood bending, like I just mentioned. So basically, it's mostly effective against fresh external injuries. It can be used to ease certain forms of mental distress too, like when Katara helped Jet in restoring his memories after he was brainwashed by the Dai Li. Now, when it comes to powerful healers, the first name that comes to mind for most Avatar fans is Katara. However, in the comics and novels, we learned that Avatar Yangchen was also a skilled healer and treated a wide range of serious injuries during her time. But in my opinion, the best healer in the entire Avatar universe was a girl named Atuat. Atuat was a doctor from the Northern Water Tribe, known for bringing people back from the brink of death with her advanced healing techniques. One of her most unique skills involved lowering a person's body temperature to slow down the process of death itself. This method is extremely hard to master, as it requires a high level of control and concentration to avoid killing the target. Atuat eventually meets Avatar Kyoshi and teaches her how to heal, including the delicate technique of slowing death by lowering a person's body temperature. But Kyoshi, being Kyoshi, she ended up using that knowledge for the exact opposite purpose, speeding up death, because of course she did. And that, my friends, brings us to the next special bending type of waterbenders, heart freezing. As far as we know, this dark technique has only been done by Avatar Kyoshi. By lowering her target's body temperature, she could freeze their heart and other internal organs in order to kill them. Yeah, she literally took a life-saving technique and turned it into a one-way ticket to the spirit world. Classic Kyoshi. Moving on to the last subskill of waterbending, spirit bending. This rare technique involves using healing to transform a spirit's negative energy into positive energy, restoring its internal balance in the process. It's performed by surrounding the spirit in water, and the process is complete when the spirit begins to glow bright yellow, at which point it either dissipates or returns to a peaceful form. But just like most bending arts, the spirit bending has a darker side. It can also be used to create imbalance within a spirit by corrupting its positive energy and turning it negative. This twisted version can even be used on a human soul, and if pushed far enough, it has the potential to destroy the soul completely. In the Legend of Korra, we saw two users of spirit bending, Korra and Unalaq. However, the person who originally discovered the technique was a powerful waterbender airbender named Makituk, who lived during the era of Avatar Roku. Before we continue, do me a quick favor guys, we're working really hard to reach 100k subscribers and get that silver play button by the end of the year. So hit that subscribe button if you enjoy our content, it would mean the world to me. Let's move on to the special sub-skills of earthbenders, starting with one of the most widely used abilities, metal bending. Metal bending was thought to be impossible for a long time, until Toph Beifong discovered it while escaping from a metal cage. She achieved this by bending the small traces of earth impurities within the metal. This means metal benders can bend any metal as long as it contains small traces of earth. The only exception is platinum, as it's so highly purified that it has no earth particles left to bend. Initially, Toph's metal bending was limited to close range manipulation, as she needed to be in direct contact or at least very close to the metal she wanted to bend. But over time, she refined the technique and eventually gained full control over metal just like regular earth. Following the 100-Year War, Toph founded the Beifong Metal Bending Academy to pass on her knowledge to other earthbenders. Later, after the creation of Republic City, she established the city's police department, which was made up of elite earthbenders capable of metal bending without needing to touch the metal directly. Moving on to the sub-skill that led to the discovery of metal bending, seismic sense. This technique allows the user to create a mental 3D map of their surroundings by sensing vibrations in the ground. With this ability, an earthbender can detect objects, people, and other features of the environment with the same precision as normal sight. In some cases, it's even more effective, as obstacles like walls or thick dust clouds don't interfere with it. And it doesn't just provide surface vision, the vibrations also travel underground, allowing the user to detect deep areas beneath the earth. It can also be used to sense a person's heart rate and breathing, making it possible to tell if someone is lying, unless that someone is Azula. Since the Badger Moles were the original earthbenders, they were also the first to use seismic sense. Toph later learned it from them, though she isn't the first known human character to master it. That title goes to Jianzhu, a close friend of Avatar Karuk, and one of the greatest earthbender to ever live. Another known user before Toph was Yoon, an incredibly talented earthbender and Avatar Kyoshi's most dangerous enemy. The third and probably most powerful special subskill of earthbenders is lava bending, which is a rare ability that allows the user to manipulate molten earth. Lava bending was originally supposed to be something only avatars could master, as it's a combination of both earthbending and firebending. The three known avatars who could use lava bending were Sito, Roku, and Kyoshi. However, the creators later changed this concept and made lava bending a rare specialized technique of earthbending. In the comics, we learned that the first known earthbender to use lava bending was Soon, a student at the Beifong Metal Bending Academy. And in The Legend of Korra, we were introduced to two more lava benders, Bolin and Gazan. And just to give you a few examples of how powerful and destructive this technique can be, Gazan was able to single-handedly tear down the inner wall of Ba Sing Se, something the entire Fire Nation failed to achieve in 100 years. And a few episodes later, we saw him literally destroy the entire Northern Air Temple. Moving on to the next special sub-skill of earthbenders, sandbending. This technique is mainly used by the tribes of the Siwang Desert, and it allows them to bend loose sand instead of solid earth. Unlike the other sub-skills that we talked about, sandbending isn't actually that hard to master. It's implied that most, if not all, earthbenders are capable of bending sand without much trouble. The next special and probably rarest sub-skill of earthbenders is glass bending. During a confrontation with a criminal gang, Avatar Kyoshi was injured by glass shards that struck her neck. Surprisingly, she was able to bend the glass and safely remove it from her neck. This technique was possible because glass is essentially just heated and cooled sand, which really raises a question. Why haven't we seen any other earthbender use glass bending? I couldn't find an answer to this, so maybe you can tell us in the comments if you have any guesses. Now that we've covered both water and earth, let's move on to the special sub-skills of airbender, starting with a rare one that's considered the highest level of airbending, flight. The ability to fly was originally exclusive to flying bison and air lion turtle. However, a talented air nomad named Guru Lahima was able to unlock the ability by freeing himself from all earthly attachment. Flight was actually such a rare ability that it was believed to only exist in legend, until Zahir also unlocked it 4,000 years later. Zahir was was able to achieve this after witnessing the death of Pali, who was his lover and last earthly tie. Now we know that flight is an extremely rare ability, but what if I told you that there's a unique sub-skill that's only ever been used by one person? That person was none other than Avatar Yangchen, and the ability was sound bending. In the Dawn of Yangchen, it's said that after failing a mission, Yangchen became so overwhelmed with anger that she went to the beach and started screaming to let off steam. Her scream was so powerful that it carved channels into the ocean itself. The novel also mentions that one of her friends, who was nearby at the time, went completely deaf, even though he tried to protect his ears. I'm not sure why Yangchen never used this ability in battle. Maybe it was because of the pacifist nature of the air nomads, but it could have been an instant win technique in almost any fight if she had used it. Yangchen could also use another terrifying sub-skill known as suffocation, which, as the name suggests, allowed her to remove air from someone's surrounding. However, she stayed true to her pacifist principles and only used the technique to cause unconsciousness or dizziness, always letting the air return at the last second. In The Legend of Korra, we saw Zahir use a similar ability, but he took it to a much deadlier level. Instead of simply removing the air around his target, Zahir pulled it directly from the lungs through the nostrils and mouth, then formed a tight sphere of air around the victim's head to block any new intake of breath, eventually killing them by suffocation. The last special sub-skill of airbending is spiritual projection. Master airbenders with a strong spiritual connection can project their spirit outside their body and travel to another location within seconds. This ability allows them to explore places that would normally be inaccessible, like moving freely underwater or passing through solid matter into sealed areas, while still being able to communicate with others. Airbenders can also use this technique to locate people they share a strong bond with by focusing on their spiritual energy, just like when Jinora used it to find Kai after he was captured by the Dai Li. Another known user of this technique was Mongol, a young air nomad who lived during Avatar Kyoshi's time. Mongol helped solve problems in villages near the Northern Air Temple by sensing what was disturbing the spirits and helping the villagers fix it. Now that we've covered all the other elements, let's talk about the special sub-skills of firebending. We'll start with one of the coolest, or well, probably not so cool, bending abilities that Azula was best known for, blue fire. Interestingly, the creators originally gave Azula blue flames to help differentiate her attacks from Zuko's during their fights. But later on, it was explained that her fire was blue because she was a firebending prodigy, since blue fire is much hotter than regular orange fire. It's even stated by Avatar Roku that blue fire is significantly harder to control than regular fire. Speaking of Roku, he and Sozin were actually able to use blue fire, but only once, and it was while inside a spirit cave that temporarily boosted their bending. This just goes to show just how talented Azula really was, because not even the strongest avatars or the most powerful firebenders were able to bend blue fire like she could. While bending blue fire is an extremely advanced skill of fire bending, bending dragon fire, also known as iridescent fire, is on an even higher level. In The Last Airbender, we saw this rainbow-colored fire being used by the dragons when Aang and Zuko visited them to learn the original form of fire bending. It was initially believed that bending iridescent fire was something only the dragons could do, since they're the original masters of fire bending. However, Avatar Roku was able to use this technique while inside the same spirit cave I just mentioned. The fire was so hot and powerful that it actually burned Roku's hands as he bent it and completely destroyed the cave. In the comics, we also see Zuko create a rainbow-colored fire vortex while protecting his family from an ambush. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that was actually iridescent fire. It could have just been an artistic choice to make his flames look cooler in that scene. I mean, this technique is supposed to be insanely difficult, and unlike Roku, Zuko wasn't in any spirit cave that boosts bending ability. If he really had mastered it, we probably would have seen him use it again, especially in The Legend of Korra. You might argue that maybe he unlocked it after learning the true form of fire bending from the dragons, but honestly, I highly doubt it. The third sub-skill of fire bending is lightning bending, an extremely advanced and deadly technique that lets the user generate electricity from their fingertips by separating positive and negative energies internally. It's also known as the cold-blooded fire, and is considered the purest and most powerful form of fire bending. In the past, lightning generation was so rare that most people thought it was just a myth with no real users left. For example, During Avatar Kyoshi's time, there was only one firebender who could generate lightning, and even in The Last Airbender, only Azula, Iroh, and Fire Lord Ozai were shown using it. But by the time of Avatar Korra, the technique became a lot more common, and even factory workers in Republic City were using it. As for how deadly lightning can be, if it's not blocked or redirected, a lightning strike will pretty much be fatal. That said, the power can actually be regulated by the user. Like in the comics, Azula casually zaps Sokka with a tiny bolt that doesn't really harm him. But on the other hand, when she struck Aang with full force lightning, it nearly killed him. And if it weren't for Katara and her spirit water, he wouldn't have made it. Another deadly subskill of fire bending is combustion bending. This technique allows the user to create powerful explosions using their mind, more specifically by concentrating energy and firing a focused beam of heat from a specialized third eye tattoo. This technique is extremely destructive, as it can completely destroy massive rock formations and evaporate entire bodies of water in an instant. It can also be used more precisely, like burning objects without causing an actual explosion, kind of like using a magnifying glass to focus sunlight. While some combustion benders like Pli and Combustion Man were born with the ability, combustion benders can also be made through brutal training programs. One such program, known as Unanimity, existed during Avatar Yangchen's era and was designed to turn people into living weapons. The project subjected benders to an extremely harsh training regime, including repeatedly submerging them in water to the point of drowning until they awakened the power of combustion. While this process killed a lot of people, it did manage to produce 3 combustion benders, all of whom were eventually defeated by Avatar Yangchen. Despite its overwhelming power, combustion bending has one fatal weakness. If the third eye is hit or blocked in any way, it can disrupt the attack and cause it to backfire, resulting in the death of the user. The last special bending ability is energy bending, which allows the user to manipulate and bend another person's life energy. Before the Avatar came into existence, the Lion Turtles used energy bending to grant humans the ability to bend one of the 4 elements. But with the rise of the Avatar, the Lion Turtles stepped away from their role as humanity's protectors, and the knowledge of energy bending was nearly lost to time. By the end of the 100-Year War, only one Lion Turtle remained, and it used energy bending to pass on the ability to Avatar Aang, who later passed it on to Avatar Korra. So what exactly does energy bending do? Energy benders can take away or grant bending abilities, and they can even restore bending that was lost through blood bending or energy bending itself. They can also manipulate the energy within themselves to create an astral projection of their spirit, like when Avatar Korra did this at the end of Book 2. Another power granted by energy bending is the ability to bend spiritual energy. Korra first used this technique to save Jinora after she was captured by Spirit Vine, and later used it again to deflect a deadly blast from Kuvira's spirit cannon. It's worth noting that while mastering the 4 elements is required for the Avatar, learning energy bending is actually optional. And there you have it, every special and unique sub-bending ability in the Avatar universe. If you enjoyed the video and want more Avatar content, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. And if you're into Demon Slayer 2, click on this video to check out 42 secrets you didn't know about the Kozuki.